Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you are in the world, and welcome to today's webinar, the fourth in our four-part Mobile BI webinar series. Today's event is entitled Shaping Your Mobile Strategy with Explora and Lumira, hosted by SAP Insider and presented by Decision First Technologies. I'm Steve Paul, and I'm your moderator today. We have just a few announcements before we begin. This webinar is designed to be interactive between you and our presenters. There is no dial-in required, so you can listen through your computer speakers, or audio is available via call-in numbers as provided. You can participate in our Q&A session by asking questions about the information presented in this webinar at any time. Just type your question into the text box located at the bottom right of your console. We'll answer as many questions as time permits after our presentation. Later in the program, we'll also ask for your feedback. There is a survey once you exit the event. Slides will advance automatically throughout our event, and if you require a PDF copy of our slides, a link will be sent to you along with access to the archive version. At this time, we will recommend you disable your pop-up blockers. If you're experiencing any technical problems, please visit our webinar help guide by clicking on the help link in the upper right-hand corner of our console. And now on to our presentation, Shaping Your Mobile Strategy with Explora and Lumira. Discussing today's topic will be Marshall Kelly, Business Intelligence Consultant, and Stefan Nicaise with Corporate Sales, both with Decision First Technologies. First, we'll hear from Stefan.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks everyone for joining us in this last part of our webinar series for a complete overview of the BusinessObjects mobile BI platform. Many of you may not have attended the first three parts, so we'll start this presentation with a brief overview of Decision First Technologies as an organization, and then I'll turn it over to Marshall for a quick presentation and a live demonstration. Next slide, Marshall. So DFT, as we call Decision First Technologies, is a leading SAP Analytics partner based in Atlanta, and we've been Partner of the Year 7 times with SAP, including this year in 2013. We sell, we support, and we implement the complete portfolio of BusinessObjects products, and our sole focus as a company is business intelligence and data warehousing. We've been in business for over a decade and have over 1,000 customers, which we've helped, drive business outcomes from their data in those years. Well, our biggest strength is our people. Our consultants are experts in their field and often industry thought leaders. This week we just had people speaking at the Data Governance Conference here in Atlanta. And we have a very deep knowledge of all the front-end tools, like the things that we'll be presenting today, but also a leading EIM practice, which means we have a lot of people working with the ETL tools and the data quality tools from SAP. We've done a lot of work with data services, information steward, and we understand the importance of data quality and data governance to drive BI success. One last point about DFT is that over the year we've developed a very close relationship with SAP, and we've been an early adopter of HANA. We have a Center of Excellence for HANA here in Atlanta, and SAP has picked us to write the book on how to implement HANA. The book's called Implementing SAP HANA, and you can find it on Amazon right now, or through SAP Press as well. I'll now go over a few of our customers. Yeah, next slide, thanks. And so over the years, we've worked with, like I said, over 1,000 customers, and they're all in different kinds of industries. We don't have an industry focus, but we've worked with specific use cases in all the industries you see here on your screen. I'll go over a few examples of what we've done specifically with regards to mobile BI. And if you want any more details about any of these cases that I'll talk about, you can get in touch after the call. For a multi-billion-dollar specialty chemicals company, we've taken content that was previously in Webby and is now delivered on mobile devices for their sales management group. The metrics include, classic sales revenue, sold to breakdown, and distributor information. For an oil and gas company based in Dallas, we've worked with their finance team to deliver the latest financial statements on iPad to their executives. Those are crystal reports. And then we've built what-if scenario dashboard showing oil and gas sales and volumes to predict the effect on overall income. That particular customer, we've taken them from traditional SAP reporting with BEX queries to more tailored business intelligence for all level of, top-level executives and middle management. And finally, more related to today's topic, for a leading beverage company, we've taken crystal reports, dashboards, and Explorer content on mobile devices for their top-level executives. And I will now turn it over to Marshall for the introduction of Explorer and Lumira. Marshall, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Stefan. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marshall Kelly, and I'm a business intelligence consultant with Decision First. And today we're going to discuss going mobile with SAP Lumira and SAP BusinessObjects Explorer. So this is going to be our fourth series in our mobile webinar. These two tools are fairly similar in their creation and how they're used as ad hoc BI tools at a mobile level. They are a little different from standard reporting tools like Web Intelligence or SAP dashboards, in that they're more focused on ad hoc exploration and data discovery. So we're going to look at both of these tools. We're going to talk about a couple of examples as well. So Lumira and BusinessObjects Explorer, they both combine intuitive data exploration with powerful visuals. So Lumira especially is heavily focused on graphical visualizations. Explorer has graphing functionality as well, although it's more of a row-by-row tool. So we'll look at the differences there. But basically with both of these tools, we're going to be empowering users to analyze data, discover trends, and share insight. So why mobile? Pretty straightforward. Why do companies need to mobilize data? So laptops are not always convenient in the field. Typically people won't always travel with their laptops, but will have their iPads or smartphones with them. Mobile devices are always on, so the data is always accessible and reachable. And then finally, data needs are frequently dependent on quick access. So going mobile brings us to the SAP BusinessObjects mobile app, which we're going to use to consume all the content we create today from an iPad. So we're going to create the content on a desktop and then publish it out so that it can be consumed by the SAP BusinessObjects app, which can be downloaded for free from the Apple App Store. Version 5 Plus has now integrated both Lumira and Explorer into the app itself, along with the legacy content like Web Intelligence and dashboards. So before, to get Explorer on mobile, you had to go out to a separate Explorer app. You don't have to do that any longer. And then they've added Lumira in as well. So Explorer content is just going to integrate directly with the mobile connection, so the existing BusinessObjects Enterprise connection set up in the iPad app or the mobile app. And then SAP Lumira, at least if you're on an iPad or an iPhone, you can consume Lumira in the app itself. You just have to set a separate connection. So you do have to log in and out of the Lumira connection and the BusinessObjects connection, but it can all be done within the same app on the mobile device. Lumira as well, if you don't have an iPad or if the app isn't working, Lumira content is all HTML5, so it can be consumed natively from a mobile web browser if needed. So taking SAP Lumira Mobile, so there's just a couple of steps you have to go through in order to acquire the data and then publish it out so that it can be consumed by a mobile device. The first thing is going to be creating local data sets from multiple sources. So you can have one or more data sets in any particular document or visualization that you publish out. Available data sources for Lumira are going to be Excel, CSV, SAP HANA, SAP BW, as well as you can choose a BusinessObjects universe, a UNX or a UNB, and then finally freehand SQL as well. So all of those, that full list of Lumira sources is going to require the Lumira Standard Edition. The Personal Edition, which is free of Lumira Desktop, is only going to be able to hook into local sources like Excel and CSV. So once you've created your data source, it's just a matter of querying the data and preparing it. So you can do local tasks such as merging multiple data sets into one publishable data set. You can do calculations, show or hide rows, filter, etc. From still the Lumira desktop. And then once you've prepared your data, you just publish it out to the Lumira cloud, which is going to host those data sets, and that's where you're going to access that content via the mobile app. So yeah, that brings us to number 4, access data sets from the mobile device. And then once the prepared data set has been published, you can actually perform analysis and do ad hoc visualization on that data set within the app itself. So you can do mobile exploration and mobile visualization from the mobile app. SAP Lumira Desktop, so that's part 1 of taking SAP Lumira Mobile. This is where, again, you're going to do your data acquisition and preparation. This table here in the slideshow is just a comparison between the standard and the personal edition, so the free or the paid version. So with the free version that you can download from SAP right away, you get all the visuals. You can transform and manipulate data, multiple data sets as well. But then again, you only are limited. You're limited to only those local sources. So the Lumira Cloud, the Lumira Desktop, all the work that you do from the desktop tool is saved locally in a folder on your hard drive. And then you selectively publish out data sets or documents to the Lumira Cloud, which is the central hosting repository for this content. That, again, is free, at least to a limited degree. So anyone can sign up with an email address, and SAP will give you 1 free gig of cloud storage. And then with that cloud storage, you can publish your data sets there in that central repository, and then from the app, you're going to tie back into that cloud to consume that published report on a mobile device. And then the URL is just cloud.saplumira.com. And then finally, SAP Lumira Mobile is going to be a final piece, and that is the app itself on the mobile device. So again, either if you have an iOS device, you can use the BusinessObjects mobile app, or on any mobile device, because Lumira is HTML5, you can just use a mobile browser. Android, it looks like currently the BusinessObjects, the mobile app is not compatible at all with the newest version of Android, even though it was with an earlier version. So I'm not really sure what the story is on that. It should at least be, or at least it was for a time, compatible with Apple and Android, but currently it looks like any consumption on an Android device is going to have to be done through the mobile browser. And next slide is mobile visualization with Lumira. So once you've selected a data set locally on your iPad or mobile device, it's just a matter of creating the connection to Lumira and then connecting that to a particular data set where you can go ahead and create your visualizations and your data explorations right there on the mobile device. So just kind of an environment rundown of Lumira. It is a self-contained environment. So unlike Explorer, it is completely separate from BusinessObjects Enterprise. So you don't need BusinessObjects licensing or access in order to use Lumira, although it will, you can access BusinessObjects universes as a data source. So you can query against BusinessObjects repository objects like universes, but it's not tied into that. It does not, the system itself does not exist within BusinessObjects. The next thing, so again, the personal edition is completely free. So you can run, between the personal edition of desktop, the free cloud, 1 gig, and then the free app, you can run, a little miniature environment, a Lumira environment, independently for free. And then that's going to let you, at least with not with the personal version you're going to be limited to local sources, CSV and Excel. With the standard version, you're going to get the full suite of available connections. So in that case, you could query data against personal or corporate sources. So BusinessObjects Explorer is a very similar product with a couple of key differences. So similarities to Lumira. Both tools are used for ad hoc data discovery, and they both utilize the BusinessObjects mobile app. Key differences. So again, like we discussed a second ago, Lumira is not tied into BusinessObjects Enterprise, but Explorer is. It's an add-on to the enterprise environment itself. Development of exploration views and information spaces, the two types of Explorer content. Development is more involved at the IT level, so it's still a fairly simple and straightforward process of acquiring data and presenting data. But when you start looking at customizing those visuals, it's more of a kind of a back-end development or IT level task. And also it has a couple fewer available sources compared to Lumira, so you're going to be limited to HANA analytic views, BusinessObjects universes, or if you want to go local, you can utilize Excel just like you would with Lumira. So when we talk about Explorer as an application, we're talking about two different content types. The first one being information spaces. So these are kind of this is kind of equivalent to a Lumira data set, if you will. It's basically the underlying the underlying data store that is indexed on the Explorer document, and it's going to be the full list of data. Information spaces are going to be good for ad hoc filtering and navigation through detailed information. So row by row data is going to be consumed best through Explorer just because it gives you a kind of a really detailed granular row level view of the data, whereas Lumira is pretty much strictly a graphical visualization tool. Then on top of information spaces, you can build what are called exploration views, which basically just tie into an underlying info space and allow you to do a few more customizations in terms of charting and kind of plotting out more of a corporate dashboard look and feel. So here is just a screenshot of what a mobile information space looks like. So you have your rows of data up at the top that you can navigate and drill through. And then in an info space, you're limited to one single chart. You can change the chart type. Here's a column chart, but you are limited to one single chart. And a mobile exploration view is going to have expanded charting, but the downside is that it's going to require a little bit more desktop development to build out those charts and kind of format the entire document. Okay, so that brings us to our live demonstration. So we've kind of gone over a high-level overview of the two tools, and now I'm just going to basically demo through that entire process of creating content, publishing, and then consuming on a mobile device. So I'm going to use the desktop tool, at least for Lumira. I'm going to use the desktop tool first, and then publish out to the Lumira cloud, and then we'll switch over to the iPad where we can consume that published data set and do visualizations from the mobile device. And then we'll do pretty much the same with Explore. So I'm just going to open up the Lumira desktop tool here on my laptop. And so here is what the desktop tool looks like as soon as it launches. This is our welcome page. And then here down on the left-hand side, it gives us all of our different content types that we have stored locally here on the hard drive. To create a new one, I'm going to go File, New, and the first thing we have to do is create a new data set. So we'll select our source, which here you see our full list of available sources. I'm going to choose a BusinessObjects universe and build off of that. And then next I'm going to use a local source, a local CSV file to tie in some geographical data into that data set as well. So I'll select universe and just log into the BusinessObjects CMS. So here's going to be a list of universes. We only have one here available to us under this user account. The universe is called Expo Sales, and it's just a demo and training sales data set. I'm going to name my data set Expo Sales data set like that. And then exposales.unx is highlighted. I'll click Next. And now it's just a matter of picking the objects that we want to see. So I'll go through and I'll keep it fairly simple for this example. Let's say country and city, as well as product line, category, and product name, customer name. And then for our measures, how about number of orders, gross sales, net sales, and margin. So I've got my objects the way, I've got all the objects that I want to query into our data set. I'm going to click Next. And it's just going to compile those results. So you see the total there, it's already gone, but it flashed up for a second. It looks like we'll have about 21,000 rows in this complete data set. And here we have our tabular view of those results. Just to narrow it down a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and right off the bat add a filter on year and month. so that we're only looking, at this case, at 2012 data. That's the latest data here in this data set. So I'll go to year and month, and the filter is, and now it's just a matter of selecting which objects I want, which values I want. This would obviously be a little easier with a year value, but since I just have month, I will start with 2012 and just pull in all those 2012 months. So now you see we can, from desktop, we can do filtering on the data set itself. We won't really look at the visualize and compose features from desktop just because we're going to focus on the mobile app. Over here on the left, I have my active data set, which is the Expo Sales data set I just created. So now this is actively local in my desktop tool. In order to publish that out, I'm going to jump over to Share. And this is where we're going to have all of our sharing capabilities to share these data sets. So we're going to publish to Lumira Cloud and then consume from the mobile app. You can also export as a file. You can export documents that you can create directly to SAP HANA, so you can consume content and publish content back to SAP HANA. You can publish a data set to explore. So I'm going to say new data set, CSV, and just find my local document, and there's the full list. Now I'm going to create that new data set, and then going back to my original one, I'm just going to merge the city columns together by going combine, merge, city, and city like so. So I'll merge those, and now in my Expo Sales data set, I have city. I also have latitude and longitude merged in to this data set. So now that I have that, I'm just going to share it out by publishing to the Lumira Cloud. So I'm going to go to Share. I'm going to highlight Expo Sales data set and publish. And I'm just going to log into the cloud with my email address. And I'll call it Expo Sales data set and publish. And it will publish out to the cloud to be consumed either directly from the cloud on a PC or from a mobile device using either the app or a mobile browser. So published successfully. So now I'm going to open up the BusinessObjects mobile application. Like so. So this is just a mirrored image of, I'm using an iPad here today, and so I've opened the mobile app, and we just need to connect into our Lumira cloud. So I already have a pre-configured connection set up. To add one, it's just application settings, and then when you add a connection, you can choose as a connection type. You can either choose BusinessObjects Enterprise, or in our case, we would choose SAP Lumira, which is going to connect into that cloud. So I'm just going to connect into my Lumira connection. And here is my cloud content. Here in the bottom left is the Expo Sales data set we just created. So I'm going to click on this to open it up. And now we have our published data, and it's just a matter of doing ad hoc visualization on this data set. So it's not really a typical canned reporting mobile environment where we're just consuming canned information. We're basically consuming a big set of data and then doing ad hoc analysis on it as we go along. So I'll do just a couple of examples here. I like to go to this Analyze tab. It gives you a little more functionality. If I clear the layout, and let's make this a line graph, and we just have to populate all of these fields here in order to get our information to display. So any of these particular panels can be assigned to an object. I'll do, how about year and month, and I want to see margin, so we're saying margin by year and month. And then the data point will just be total margin. And that's going to give us basically our full total margin by year and month. Notice that even though I filtered the data set when I published it from desktop, those filters don't apply. That's just kind of a local filtering slice on the desktop tool. So I've got my months here for the full list, and I'm just going to pull those, narrow those down to the same 2012 month. So I'll just select those values, and you see across the top above my line graph, my little filter indicator shows those particular months. Now, with the split by and the color and the sizing, you can get pretty detailed and really, kind of drill down in the granularity scope of this information. So here, I'll say let's split by. So we're looking at all margin, but let's look at margin by customer. And that's going to give us a detail line for every single customer. And I can color code that. How about, by, not by city, but by country. And then if I go here to the full screen, that's just going to group those customers by country and assign them a color. So with those color assignments, now in my legend, I can click on any one particular country and compare all the companies within that country. So I can toggle through like so and compare, countries side by side, or look at the big picture of all these detail lines. If I clear the layout, let's see, another example is just kind of a quick bubble chart. So my x-axis will be number of orders, and then compare on the y-axis to gross sales. So that's going to be kind of the the XY plot of the bubble itself. And then the data point, let's look at these by product. And I'm going to switch that to dot or bubble chart. So it's going to plot those like so. Now the size, how about we assign margin to the size? Like so. And then again, we can assign a color, based on either all the way down at the product level for each individual customer, each individual product, or we can group those at a higher level, let's say product line for the color, and it's just going to color code those by product line, but then the bubbles themselves are going to be displaying information at the lower level product detail. These controls up here, you can just kind of slide back and forth to filter down on the values. One feature I like is the bottom right over here, animation. I'll choose country, so I'll assign the country to animation, and then it gives me this control here in the right-hand side, and it's basically going to just filter through the individual countries. If I hit play, it's just going to cycle through the countries and show me their relevant values for each of those countries. So that's kind of a nice feature to get kind of a rolling view of the data. And then real quick, I'll just show if I clear the layout, and I'll go back to Explore and choose the map. So since we merged our latitude and longitude information on the cities, I can, let's see, I'll go back to Analyze. And let's say latitude is going to be my latitude object from the query. Same with longitude. And then the data points, we could do margin or gross sales. We could have any of that. So by tying that latitude and longitude data in, we can graph that here on our map. So once we have created these visualizations, we can annotate them by either, we can draw on the canvas, we can we can narrow the frame down or write text, and then to share, you can share with email, or you can share the direct link to the document itself. You can share that as well, and then anyone with desktop installed will be able to import that, and you can say they can either view or edit, so you can kind of control that access level there. So that pretty much wraps up our Lumira piece, and then just real quick before we move on to questions, I will talk about Mobile Explorer. So we've looked at Lumira, which is primarily a ad hoc visualization feature. We'll look at Explorer, which is more of a canned, more kind of on the spectrum of reporting. It's more kind of the canned IT side. One thing about Lumira, these visualizations, is that it is kind of, at least right now, hopefully that'll improve once SAP starts releasing later versions. But sharing these via the Lumira cloud becomes kind of difficult just because you have local files and they're not that easily shared and then imported down and consumed by a different type of application. So Lumira Cloud, to a degree, almost functions like a Dropbox. There's not a ton that you can do from the cloud. You're pretty much either working from the mobile app or from the desktop tool. Okay, so I'm going to log into a BusinessObjects. I'm going to go into BusinessObjects Launchpad to access the Explorer tool. And I'm going to click the Applications drop-down and choose Explorer. And I'm going to create one of those information spaces, which is the underlying data store for our Explorer content. So I'm going to choose Expo Sales, my universe and new sales info space. And I'll store it out in the public folders there. So the objects, so I still have my same list of available objects because it's the same universe. Year and month, country, city, line, category, product. So I'm just pulling all my dimensional data. And then again, how about number of orders, gross sales, net, and margin. So I've built the data set for my information space. I'll click OK. And now I just have to index this, which is going to run the query and store those results in the info space itself. So now I have my information space here available. I'm going to go refresh my list and build a new exploration view set from this info space. So here's my information space from the web application. Add to view set, no, create view set. And here's my kind of dashboard tool where I can create a specific view set and then save the view set. How about just throw something together really quick like that. Let's say gross sales by year and month. And just save this to the mobile demo folder. Now, if we go back to the app, so we've saved this exploration out, and obviously we just did kind of a quick and easy one. You can get a lot more specific and customized, especially with the view sets. But I'll go back to the iPad. And here, what I did is I was on the Lumira connection up above to consume the Lumira content. Then I just navigated to the BusinessObjects repository connection here, which is where I'm going to consume Explorer, info spaces, and view sets, as well as Webby reports, Crystal reports, dashboards, etc. So here we have our two new Explorer content objects that we created. The sales info space, if I click on that, it's going to load up, and from mobile, it basically looks exactly like it does on the desktop version or from the web. So, you know, some of the buttons are a little different, but the kind of the workflow is the same. So here, you know, with Explorer is better if you want a row by row level of detail, and I want to see, you know, all my rows and the values. Explorer info spaces are going to be best for that because you can just kind of click through on these different values. You can filter, apply ad hoc filters, etc., to kind of navigate through those rows of data. If I go back and open my Explorer view set, So this is just going to give us kind of that more canned dashboard experience that we created from the Explorer app on our PC. So the visuals here are a little more customizable, and they're more permanent because it's more of a canned report with the Explorer view set, whereas Lumira is going to be pretty much ad hoc visualization for the most part. So that's just kind of another dashboard visualization feature here with those exploration view sets. So that wraps up our mobile demo. Takeaways. So mobile reports can provide great power in the field. SAP Lumira connects to personal and corporate data sources, and the visualizations can be developed by ad hoc business users. And then Lumira provides easy visualization, while Explore allows for detailed row-level exploration. So they're pretty similar tools. They're similar tools, but they have a couple key differences in terms of A, their use cases, and B, just kind of the underlying environment, where Lumira is freestanding and Explore is tied into an existing BusinessObjects enterprise environment. And then some references here, the Lumira user guides and product website, as well as the Explorer user guide down below. Lumira content, for anyone who's been looking for guides or online content, it's fairly sparse right now. So it can be kind of hard to find information. But that is where the guide is located. So that wraps up the presentation part. That's the last slide I have. I'm going to hand it over to Stefan to wrap up the last couple things, and then I'll answer a couple questions here before we wrap up for good.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marshall. Yeah, that was really great. And it seems like anyone on the line can go and try Lumira for themselves, at least on local data sources for now. So that sounds pretty good. Yeah, so like you said, before we finish our webinar, we want to go here through a couple of things that we want to share, might be able to help you with when you take your first steps with mobile BI. And actually, as part of this webinar, we'll be reaching out to all the attendees here, either via email or phone call over the next few days to share some additional tips and understand your current mobile strategy. Maybe see if you're getting started with Lumira. So the one thing that you want to do before you go and implement BusinessObjects Mobile is to check your licensing. Some of you may be licensed, other might not. So we're able to help here. One of the ways we got our Partner of the Year award is by being the go-to partner for conversions. So helping our customers getting the right licensing for different types of situations. So we can have a conversation here with you to make sure that you're squared away for deploying mobile. And the other thing we can do is help you, get an idea of how your project looks like in terms of workload. So, with a quick mobile readiness assessment, we can tell you what content is suitable for mobile right away. What webby reports are okay, what dashboards, might need a little work before they go on mobile devices, and what data or what reports are just not suitable for mobile. So these are a couple of things. And on the next slide, Marshall, before we wrap up here, we just want to thank everyone for attending. This session or previous session. If you have missed any of these, you can go on our website and see the recordings. We'll also include that in our final email. One thing we want to do, if anybody is going to be attending the Reporting and Analytics show in Orlando on November 19th to the 22nd, drop by our booth and come say hi. We'll be happy to chat with you. We'll be there again. The date's November 19th to the 22nd. And Steve, I'll pass it back to you for the question and answer session.
Okay, very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Excellent presentation and demo. And now, as we go to the question and answer portion of our event, as a reminder to participate in the Q&A, just type your question into the text box located at the bottom right of your console, and we're going to answer as many questions as we have time for. We've got a few moments here. So let's get to our first question here from Flavia. The Lumira SP12 allows storyboard and multiple charts in a board. Can the mobile apps do this as well?
Okay, yeah, so that's a good question. So the desktop tool, along with being kind of the central area for creating your data set, you can do multiple visualizations and what they call storyboards as well. A storyboard is basically just going to be a visualization with some kind of input control defined and kind of saved there. Unfortunately, storyboards are contained, at least from a save perspective, they're contained within a document, which documents can be published out to the Lumira cloud and then imported locally by other users to be consumed from their Lumira desktops. Unfortunately, at least at this time, I don't know what the product roadmap in terms of storyboards are going forward, but right now, from the mobile application, you can only consume and analyze visualizations. So a document can have one or more visualizations or storyboards, but from the app, you're going to be limited, at least for the time being, limited to the underlying visualization level.
Okay, thank you. Bruce has a question. What is the Apple app name to search for in the Apple Store on iPad?
Okay, so the Apple, the App Store name, the official name of the app is SAP BusinessObjects Mobile, I believe. It actually, once you download it, it displays as a title as SAP BI. If you search for SAP BI, it should bring it up, or just searching for SAP should bring it up as well. But the full name is SAP BusinessObjects Mobile.
Okay, Peter wants to know, did you have to preset universal server connection in a confi file? The BOE server name looks too short compared to a normal Launchpad login.
Yeah, that's a good question. So for anyone who noticed, when I logged into BusinessObjects to utilize the universe, I just typed in the short server name. That is the reason I only had to type in the short name is just because I'm actually on our DecisionVerse network. So I'm in the building on the network. VPN typically will require you to establish the domain name and/or possibly the port. But again, I'm on the network, so the domain is taken care of, and then the port is default as well, so that's taken care of.
Okay, Terry asks a question. Can Explorer have multiple graphs on the screen that interact with each other? E.g., if you drill in, can the other graphs adjust as well?
Yes, so they will. Let's see, I can open it back up real quick. And if I go into an information space, so navigating through these, let's see, this isn't a very good, well, this isn't that great of a graph here at the bottom. Again, info spaces are fairly limited graphically. But by clicking on any of these values, it's just going to apply these filters up here at the top. And those filters are going to apply universally across the information space. So if I go to the exploration view, if you click on, let's say, a column like this, and then so the a little convoluted, but if you click on a column, let's say 2010-07, and if I click that check mark on the right, so that gave me, it applied a filter. I'm not sure why it applied on all 3 of those months, but you can filter directly off of those charts. You just have to click a couple extra times.
Okay, and one last question here from Tony for Lumira. Is cloud the only option for mobility, or can I host this locally on my own web server?
Yeah, good question. So currently, and SAP from a cloud perspective offers 2 things right now. But as far as I know, they're both hosted by SAP themselves. So there's the what they call Lumira Cloud, which is the free 1 gig. So you get 1 login, basically your email, and then you get 1 gig of free space. And then from an enterprise perspective, there's what they call the Lumira server, which is, you can have multiple users and you can have more space. I'm not very familiar with I've just been doing this development work from a personal version of the free cloud, but I believe that that's all going to be hosted internally by SAP, so that they'll basically be keeping or hosting your data. I don't know that you can break it out on your own web server.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's webinar and Q&A. If we didn't get to your question, someone will be able to follow up with you over the next few business days. And we want to thank you all for attending today's webinar, Shaping Your Mobile Strategy with Explorer and Lumira, hosted by SAP Insider and presented by Decision First Technologies. Shortly after this live event, we'll send you an email reminder so you can access this presentation on demand, as well as we'll send a link to download a PDF of the slides. And on behalf of our guests, Marshall Kelly, Business Intelligence Consultant, and Stefan Nicaise, Corporate Sales with Decision First Technologies, we want to thank you for your time and have a great day.